Let's begin. Welcome again to the webinar. So time really flies. We're already in December and 2020 is coming to a close. If I could sum up the past year, it's certainly been a roller coaster ride with a lot of ups and downs. However, there is plenty to look forward to in the coming year, the most optimistic of which is that a COVID vaccine has already been discovered. So I guess it's safe to say that things will only get better from here. But even as we return to some form of normality, there's no denying that 2020 has fundamentally changed the way people live their lives and how businesses should operate. So as of today, we have assembled a panel of experts to give you a better idea on how to prepare your business for 2021. Allow me to introduce them. First off, we have our very own COO, Chan Chu Hao from Just Log In. And also we have Christine Liu, Head of Partner Acquisitions from Recruiter Pal. Mr. Sri Ganesh, Senior Manager of Partners and Operations from WSG, as well as Mr. Kelvin Tung, Assistant Manager for the Place and Train program at SNEF. And also, please stay tuned for the Q&A session we're going to have at the end, as we have a business advisor from the SME Center at SMCCI, Ms. Neha Menon, to help you answer any questions that you may have about the grants available. All right, so first off, we have Chan Chu Hao, who will be sharing on the best ways for businesses to adopt an increasingly dispersed workforce and how to increase their optimum efficiency. So Chu Hao.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone's all, all away from the rain since you must be on a webinar right now. So it's raining heavily in my end. So if you hear thunder in the background, please bear with me. But anyway, thank you once again. Thank you, Ivan, for the introduction. Thank you once again for everybody for attending today's webinar. I hope to basically share some insights with everyone about what a few things that companies or HR executives or managers like yourself can look forward to in the future, especially in aspects of HR software. All right, let's start. So just log in. For those of you will have heard of us, right? So over the last few years, we started to focus a little bit more on building how I say top of the class kind of HR software. So over the last few years, we spent a lot of efforts, polishing our application. That has kind of translated into some awards in the industry. We won a couple of gold awards in best management software, best payroll software. So in other words, you can be assured that when it comes to this, HR software, we are definitely we strive to be as good as we can and providing you the best systems, especially in this time of COVID. We're seeing a lot of success with a lot of companies who uses our solution to navigate this COVID situation, especially in the HR space. So today we have over 2,000 customers across all industries. Generally, most of them, I would say in Singapore, we help small businesses all the way from 1 employee all the way to 1,000 employees. Some of the bigger names may have heard of, like EasyLink, AT&T, ANA. These are all customers. So even though these names are very familiar, we got a lot of SMEs in our portfolio as well. So we kind of have a good sense of all the challenges that companies like self are facing on a day-to-day basis, especially in terms of HR, something that we have built into our platform so that we can cater to all sorts of shapes and sizes. Okay, next. So I think the main thing here, main message we want to kind of bring across to the table for everyone is that now that COVID is kind of at least, I would say that it's like in the tipping point. We are approaching a phase where there is a vaccine now, and things are going to hopefully go back to normal. But the thing is that will it go back to normal now that everyone has experienced this new norm? I think my take is that it's not going to be a normal as in what was before COVID. There's a lot of new ideas will surface, a lot of ways of managing a business will surface during this period, which I think in most companies will feel that these best practices will kind of be continued even after COVID. So one of the key things that everyone probably have figured out by now is that your workforce has been very dispersed during this COVID period. So some managers might look at it and say, hey, you know what? since I can manage a lot of my employees remotely, or I've been doing it successfully over the last 6 months, or I've been overcoming all these challenges to deal with it, why don't I scale this up? Why don't I actually manage a workforce that's beyond Singapore shores, beyond the region, internationally even? So what will happen is that you'll find that, or even beyond your normal office area. So what you'll find is that the new normal will be companies are now will be able to look into tapping on this more dispersed workforce. You can be an MNC on day one. You don't need to be a very local company with office or staying in Ang Mo Kio. So it could be a remote team. You could mix between remote teams and internal teams from day one. So going forward, a lot of companies will start moving into that trend. The other thing will be is that you'll be also having a mix. This shift towards what you call gig working, right? Gig workers, part-time workers, people maybe a mix between your, like, for example, restaurant business. Right now, when you do delivery, you don't do delivery yourself. You actually use Grab. Whereas in the past, Pizza Hut used to do their own delivery. McDonald's used to do their own delivery. But with this new situation, it'll be a mix between your permanent workers, your permanent staff, and gig workers as well. So a mix of between permanent and part-time. So you're gonna have this mix of permanent gig workers and temp workers in your workforce. So how do you manage all that? How do you manage a different pay cycles, different expectations? You have to start thinking along those lines. And lastly, one of the key aspects of it is that you realize that millennials were able to cope. Okay, those born in near 1990s, 2000 were able to cope much better with this COVID situation. Part of the key thing is that they're very used to all this internet. They're used to using their mobile phones. They're used to doing all this telecommunicating. They're very comfortable with this space. So what you're dealing with is that as the workforce starts to get, I know, the millennials starts getting become a majority of the workforce. Now they're approaching already 50 to 60% of the workforce. Eventually there'll be majority of the workforce. You need to cater the needs of these guys. These millennials, they will not be the typical workers that we're used to, where you give them a piece of paper, they fill out forms. No, you can't talk to them unless you're WhatsApping them. So it's a very different kind of workforce now, who's very comfortable with the mobile devices, very comfortable with internet. How do you deal with this new workforce? So next. One thing that you'll see is that from companies' perspective is that with all these changes in the workforce, you find that it causes a few issues. One key issue is that it's poor workforce visibility. You won't be able to see all your workforce in one place. It's not like in the past, everybody's in one office, you know if they're working or not, right? The other thing is that the thing with everybody so dispersed, admin work will pile up. It's very easy to pile up because you find about it is that if you're going to be still depending on very traditional mediums or papers and letters to deal with these things, we cannot, there'll be too much admin work, to cater to this. Most companies will really existing and will not be able to cope with this change. Third thing to look at is that with the regulations coming in, I mean, regulations now change in a much faster pace because all this new technology requires the regulations to keep changing. New companies coming up like Grab, etc. It causes the regulations to keep changing. GST is going to change a couple of years. So what will happen is that you need to look into compliance. And the thing is, the government now, because of all these data being submitted online, you have real-time information of, well, government now will be even demanding more compliance from companies because there's too many ways to get around it, especially with this internet space. So compliance risk will even be higher. Last thing to do with the millennials, if you're still depending on traditional tools to deal with companies, employees, you find that employees is very difficult to keep because they don't very difficult to retain employees because of poor employee experience. Last thing I want to do is that, hey, Mr. Employer, I want to submit an expense claim. I live all the way in East Coast. I'm working from home. I'm doing delivery. But yet you asked me all the way to Jurong to send an expense claim for $5. My trip back to the head office is probably going to cost more than an expense itself. So all these things have to be considered. And poor employee experience today easily could be spread to the social media. I mean, just yesterday I heard a very quite amusing story about a Grab, a food delivery, food panda driver. He was assigned to a location that he needs to deliver food over 20 kilometers. And in that process of delivering that, he was assigned wrongly. He only made $5. And in the end, he went to the social media to complain. And what will happen is that it will affect the reputation of the company. So poor employer experience today will be very easily amplified if you don't handle these employees properly, right? So next. Now, one of the key thing is that we do with this changing times, you'll find that poor workforce visibility, right? 88% of the employees do not want to return to office full time. This is based on a study by E&Y after COVID. 88%. That means 90% of the staff do now expects work from home to be a norm. So if you're not providing this, if you expect your employees to come back to work, very simple, very soon you'll find that, hey, why are all my employees already on, I find it very difficult to retain employees because you know what, they will find another company that offers them just same wages but with maybe just a little benefit of working from home, and they will move. So things are changing. Almost 90% of us do not want to work from home office full time. And what we'll find is that a lot of companies today haven't automated a lot of processes. And a lot of HR managers spend at least 60% of their day doing manual processes that can be automated. And easily, this number of hours, a big chunk of them, a number of hours that they just do, like do paperwork, maybe do things that were just repetitive, or just okay, they can be, if you just could solve it, you will save them these amount of hours to work. And today there are many systems, especially in the HR space, there are many systems to cater a lot of HR processes that they need, that you can actually save the time and let your HR deal with maybe more, other areas of the HR things like employee morale, employee benefits, compensation. These are things to think about. Next. And to stay compliant, if you think about it, over the last 5 years, $2.7 billion employees, CPF has fined $2.7 billion from employees who did not pay their CPF properly. 2.7 billion in fines have gone out, or at least clawback from employers. So you can imagine if all it takes for you is to have one employee in your workforce that's not happy or left on a bad note, finds a little error in your payslip, reports to MOM. Next thing you know, you'll be having coffee with the MOM officer or CPF officer. Frankly, is it worth it? Maybe, just think about it. Having a system in place will save you all the hassles. So one of the key thing about it, recently one of the very renowned entrepreneur called Tony Xie just passed away at the age of 46. He ran a company called Zappos, which is a shoe company. It was eventually sold to Amazon. And one of the key mantras that he had was to keep his employees extremely happy. And he will actually pay employees to quit if they do not like working at Zappos. They'll pay employee like $5,000 just to quit Zappos. If you do not like working at Zappos, I'll pay the money. Please quit. That is the kind of change in the whole international workforce, whereby these companies are starting to realize that a very happy and productive workforce will actually drive your business. So the company was sold for Amazon for I think close to $1 to $2 billion. So if you think about it, that is the kind of change that the world is moving towards. They're realizing that an unhappy workforce will will not be very helpful, productive to your company. In fact, you should focus on getting your workforce to be more productive by making sure they're happy. And one of the key reasons is that a lot of cumbersome internal process in your companies, very inflexible systems that you have. These are also irritants that would drive unhappiness to your workforce. So think about it, because this is an area that we pay a lot of attention to, especially when we start designing our application. So our vision of what the new world will look like after this COVID, it'll be more like a mobile-enabled employee-first approach to companies. Companies start to look into how do you use your current systems to make sure that your employees are productive even on the go, and how can you gear your policies to a more employee-first approach. Now let's take a look at what all these will look like. Let's play a video on that. So what you've seen just now was a very typical example of what new way of working will be like. Everything will be through the mobile phone. And where we see our app building out is like a HR in your pocket. With your HR in your pocket, you can actually access your pay slips on the go. You can buy leave on the go, clock in or clock out using facial recognition, all from your mobile device, even submit expenses on your mobile device. Everything that's regarding HR can be done on mobile phone and will be done on mobile phone. So this is exactly what's going to happen. Your HR functions need to move into mobile. That's the only way you can manage all these employees who are on the move, on the go all the time, right? Next page. And we are built on our system to be a very a very scalable platform that basically caters to all the things that you need, especially key functions you're looking at in HR, payroll, automation. We calculate CPF automatically based on the rate, the CPF's government CPF's calculators. We calculate all the taxes that's necessary to pay. We generate all the bank files, all from one system that you do not need to waste time or calories building this out yourself, right? And you can customize our application. When you talk about customize, you can configure our application to suit your requirement based on your personal leave policies, your company different policies, your overtime policies. It's all configurable. You do not need to do anything about it on your end, right? I mean, you just configure once and you forget and let the system run, and that's all you need to worry about. And let the system do compliance checking for you and notify you if there's any breach of any policy or any issues with all these day-to-day interactions. And the system is automatically compliant because it's on the cloud. We are all constantly making sure that the system is always based on the latest standards, based on the latest uh, based on the latest standard, based on the latest CPF rates and so forth. So if you think about it, right, the new post-COVID, back to office, but it's so hard. Why are some, in Singapore reluctant to return to workplace? I think the main point here is that you have to look into, Singapore culture, the new normal. It's no longer going to be the same. So I think employees need to start thinking about this. What's going to happen after COVID? How are you going to adapt? And I think automating your system, investing in cloud-based systems will definitely help along the way. Thanks. No. So now let's take a look at what going back to office post-COVID might look like, especially now that we didn't deal with all this contactless, face mask track policy, temperature screening. Guess what? You can automate this as well. Now let's have a look what this might look like with our new SafeClock device.
SafeClock is an all-in-one contactless temperature scanner, door access, and employee attendance solution to help you transition your employees back to the workplace safely. Employees can clock in and out of work daily via facial recognition. Their timings and temperatures are automatically captured in a split second and sent into your online portal in real time. The device detects high temperatures and will send administrators an alert via email or push notification if any employee is running a fever. SafeClock can also protect your workplace by acting as a door access. You can configure access based on registered faces, body temperature, and even detection of masks. Unregistered visitors will still have their photo, temperature, and time of entry recorded in your online portal for contact tracing purposes. It is easy to register employees on SafeClock. Simply tag the unregistered user photo to an employee. Employees' clock timing on the device will be reflected in attendance reports to track working hours and overtime. Create multiple shifts easily to manage staggered hours or split shifts. SafeClock is also integrated back to Just Login's full suite of HR applications, allowing you to seamlessly manage employee payroll, leave, attendance, and expenses, even when you work from home. In Singapore, you can also integrate your work premises safe entry QR code on the device to allow employees and visitors to easily check in and out of safe entry. Clock in to work safely with SafeClock by Just Login.
So this is a device that we kind of and a system that we built it during the COVID period. You know, we just looked at one of the key HR aspects is a lot of our customers will be like, how do I manage all these employees coming back, making sure they're wearing masks, making sure that they're clocking in and clocking out from the safe clock from the device, no, from the office properly, because all these will be required when you deal with the ministries. You have all this data, will definitely save you a lot of time when dealing all these spot checks, and as we go forward as well, right? Contact tracing and all that. So our Safe Cloud device allows you to do AI facial recognition, right? It detects the face. You can store up to a few thousand faces on the device. It's configurable from the cloud. So as long as you can access the internet, we can configure the device anywhere. You can change settings on the device and so forth. You can that you can actually connect it to your door access, so that when you're detects the face, open up the door. You can prevent door access if the person is having a fever as well. And we have automated, also automatically connected to safe entry. We are right now working on this connection, which allows you to just clock in from the system, and it will inform safe entry that you're in the premise as well. And at the same time, it does all the temperature scanning and detection. So one of the key things we realized as we built our system as well is that our platform is not built on a silo, right? Eventually, HR is a very broad practice. A lot of companies actually uses HR is connected to almost any other thing, right? For one of the key things is that we're looking to the last few years to integrate our solution to more systems out there. So one of the key integration we looked at is, first of all, really integrated to accounting, QuickBooks, Oracle. So if you're using NetSuite, if you're using any of these systems, payroll information can be sent to all these accounting systems online. In terms of payments, we are working with Reap, CardUp, Match, Move, and there'll be more coming up as we kind of look into different ways of paying employees, different ways of transferring funds from payment from your banks. These are some of the innovations that we look at when it comes to integration. We also have integrated our system to a performance management system called Synergita. So we hope to build this ecosystem more eventually. What we hope in a couple of years, a few more months and years from now, you'll see this page to slightly grow with as we integrate out to more partners out there. And lastly, with our latest integration, we actually integrated to Recruiter Pal, which now allows you to send recruitment information into Just Login. So as after you're finished onboarding or hiring a person on Recruiter, you actually can send the employee information into Just Login. So we have Christine from Recruiter to be a speaker later. She can share a bit more about how this integration could look like. So I guess everyone's very interested in how we're going to get help to set all this up. Now that we are closing the end of the COVID, the good thing is our government has been extremely helpful. The Singapore government has been extremely helpful. If you're a Singapore-based Singaporean majority owned organization, we have access to all these available grants out there. All right, so PSG. SFEC grant, which is Skills Future grant. We have a DRB grant, Digital Resilience Bonus. So you think about it, these are some of the grants that we'll kind of touch on today. If you've got more questions later, we can ask in Q&A. So let's take a look at some of the grants out there available to assist you to get on board in such a system to prepare yourself for the next post-COVID. First of all, out there, everyone should know by now, we have a PSG grant. Okay, this is basically the best, I would say the most basic grant you should look at. And for just again, we are already a approved vendor. Our solution is, can be funded up to 80% of the cost. And it has an annual cap of about 30,000. So what it means is that if you use our grant and still access grants left, you can actually use that to purchase other systems as well. So you can claim out to $80,000, 80% of that, right? And this grant will expire next year until 30th of September, after which I think the funding percentage will actually drop, will probably not be 80% anymore. So one of the key things to look at is that under human resource HR, we are covered under HR management system or HR shared services system. All right. So we got partners out there who are also covered under grant, and you can actually speak to them to get both their services as well as our systems covered under the same grant. So this is a good time to consider even outsourcing HR. So it's a great time to embark on all these automation systems. Please have a look into all these grants out there. The other grant that is on top of PSG that would be useful for companies to consider would be the Skills Future Enterprise Credit. It's a one-off $10,000 credits, okay, that up to 90% of our pocket expenses. So what it means is that after you have covered the 80% of the cost, right? I mean, we can look into the next slide. Maybe I can show you a little bit more example. If you cover, let's say, 80% of the cost of the solution with the PSG grant that you've done, the remaining $4,000 that you have to pay out of your pocket, you can actually claim up to 90% of that. So think about it, right? The remaining 4,000 of, let's say, $2,000 is the cost of solution. After you claim PSG, you get back $16,000. The remaining $4,000 that you have paid yourself, you can actually claim 90% of that against SFEC. And what's left for your out-of-pocket expenses is only $400. So if you think about it, this is a great time. Almost 98% of the solution is covered by the government right now. So I can't emphasize this. There's no better time to invest or to implement such systems. Next. The government has also looked out, especially those very badly hit sectors, retail, F&B sectors. You get additional $10,000 of bonus payout, right? And this is what you call the DRB. Similarly, Just Login is part of the approved vendor list. So by working with us, by looking to our solution, is also covered under the DRB grant. And how this DRB grant works, maybe look at the next page, is that as long as you have category 1, which means 20 out of this 10,000, 2,500 will be paid up as long as you invest in a HR solution, as long as you invest in a accounting solution, and maybe a digital solution ordering system if you're in F&B. Okay, once you invest in all these three, government will just pay you 2,500, right? Retail, HR, if you're in retail, you pay HR, you pay accounting, and you do inventory management, the government will give you 2,500. So it's like to the point whereby solutions that you're investing on is practically free. And all it requires is just make sure you use the solution. PRB requirement is very simple. As long as you use a solution properly, do your payroll, do your transactional system, these funds are all yours, right? I mean, there's other categories you can look at if you need, if you're investing in other solutions, let it be online food delivery or e-commerce. Lastly, if you spend a bit more time on even things like data mining, more advanced stuff, there's other grants available. So there's a lot of money out there from the government, right? And from our case, we have actually helped a lot of customers go through all these processes, and they've benefited so much. So I would urge everyone to consider this, to relook at all these solutions, these grants out there available. So if you have questions about these grants, please feel free to type in the Q&A at the chat box that you see at the bottom, right? You see a little Q&A chat box. Feel free to type it in there. One of officers, will be able to help you and answer those questions as well, even on privately. Okay, so now, if it's all right with everybody, please give us, but please help participate in this poll. Please indicate interest to find out more about these grants. We will more than happy to assist you, to provide. We'll contact you after this to provide you more information or anything that you're unsure of. We can definitely put some, reach out to you and assist you on those questions. Okay. Okay. I think we can end the poll. All right. So we can close off the poll. And these are some of the useful contacts that you might want to contact SME Center. All right. This is the website to look at. You can email them directly. You can reach them on Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, post on Facebook. Tag them on Instagram. I mean, these are all the avenues that you can look at. I mean, yeah. So feel free. So that's all for my presentation this afternoon. If you're interested to know more about our HR suite, you can call us at the following coordinates. Use the QR code or use email us directly, or reach out on our phone. We will be more than happy to assist you on your journey post-COVID.
Okay. Thank you, Shu Hao, for that wonderful presentation. Okay, so right now we have Christine from Recruiter Pal, who will be sharing about how businesses can reinvent their hiring process as the talent economy is being impacted by the rise of automation. Okay, the floor is yours, Christine.
Thank you so much, Ivan, and very good afternoon to all of you, and for making time out for the webinar on a very rainy day. I'm Christine, and I represent Recruiter Pal, the software specialist in recruitment technology and automation in Southeast Asia. So we work with progressive employers like yourself here, and professional recruiters to connect hiring teams with great talents seamlessly. So, like what we have often seen these days is that there are a lot of surveys polling what's the sentiment out there on the market. So there was one that particularly caught my eye. It was a survey done by UOB rather recently. So it was taken on the Singapore workforce, and in that survey, it was revealed that 9 out of 10 of the Singapore workforce currently employed are actually very worried about being retrenched. And many of us also feel that there's an urgent need to rescale or upskill in order to stay competitive and, more importantly, relevant in the post-pandemic world. Now, even though we don't get to see our colleagues as much as we hope to in the past, but we can still hear and feel the rumble below our feet, right? And a lot of us are still thinking at this point in time, exactly how fast of a change are we looking at, right? So this is a result that came out from the World Economic Forum in their yearly publication, which is called The Future of Work. So this was Future of Work 2020. This was an extract about the top 10 redundant roles that has been highlighted through a survey with a lot of different companies across different sizes, right? So there's a highlight there because it concerns many of us, and also the people that we work with a lot, which is the human resource specialists. So it would be a hard stretch to say that, digitalization hasn't been there until COVID-19 hit, right? We all knew that digitalization is a trend that is well underway, right? Yet it never fails to shock when we see some of these results that come out from surveys that are done very comprehensively. So one of the things that we have to grapple with is that companies are digitalizing, like it or not, and there is an implicit call for everyone to relook at all the job roles and how the employees can continue to contribute meaningfully to the ongoing march of change, right? So in particular, I think what really stands out amongst the jobs in this list is that for HR specialists, the part of the work scope that used to be of value in the past, for example, repetitive administrative or coordination tasks, are actually no longer undertaken by humans and instead are relegated to systems. So which means to say that even if you are very, very good at your current or existing work scope, if those tasks are no longer seen as relevant or requiring human labor, you could be caught by surprise to find yourself confronting a job loss despite being very good at your craft, right, at your current job scope. So we understand that change is always a very painful thing, and there's always a lot of inertia to get started. But on the other side of the coin, it is also a painful truth that we need to know that staying status quo has consequences. So like we always talk about the proverbial toad in the water. As the water slowly heats up to a boil, you don't want to wait till it's too late before you take action for change. So if we look back at history, it's actually quite surprising that HR teams or HR specialists will be on the top 10 of the redundant list of jobs, because if we look at the third industrial revolution, we see actually many of the pioneering enterprise systems at that point in time were HR technologies that were openly embraced and adopted by HR teams in their bid to streamline and manage employees, especially if the organization is on a fast path of growth, right? So yet when we fast forward to today, we see that in a recent study by KPMG in 2019, many of the HR teams or HR leaders severely lag behind their counterparts in the organization when it comes to adopting technology and using it to improve the way that work. And that is a big change that is underway, right? So So 2020 has been a chaotic year for everyone. That said, we find that COVID-19 has a major impact on the talent economy, right? Through the sheer shakeup of industries across the world. So we know that the pandemic has an unequal impact on, on certain industries. So certain industries, certain people are hard hit worse than some of the others in the form of collapsed businesses and lost jobs. So for a start, I mean, we know that for Singapore, the jobless rate has shot up to a 16-year high. So in September alone, we are looking at retrenchment numbers that is double that of the entire year of the previous year in 2019. So while all these are happening in the background, we see that companies are struggling, right, to to make sure that we are not swept away by the changes that are confronting us, and instead trying to ride the wave of digitalization. So another thing that we got on our hands is actually a very unique situation, which we like to term as a temporary talent vacuum. Now, this is where we find that in the market, we see a very unusually large amount of good talents that are being unleashed on the job market through no fault of their own, of course. So it's just that there are certain industries that are hard hit and they are no longer able to keep some of these employees, right? So we take note that, we place emphasis on the term temporary because as we all know, good talents actually don't stay unemployed for long, right? So the upside of the pandemic is that it actually became easier to hire. So this is something of a temporary opportunity space or window that we actually encourage the HR teams to really look at. So this is actually a quote that is often misquoted and is often misattributed to Winston Churchill. But the person that actually, came up with this quote was the former chief of staff to the former US President Barack Obama. And this was said during the, the 2009 financial crisis, right? When he was addressing a Wall Street Journal forum. And he added on to say that, on top of this, you never want to have a serious crisis go to waste, is that what he meant by that is that it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before. So likewise, if we harken back to our situation today, the pandemic itself is not just a crisis. You shouldn't see it as just a crisis, but really a good chance to reset, a chance to really change things up at your organization. Okay, so one of the first things that we think about as the opportunity space, because it's actually a very narrow window for you to capture the talent, is to really, as opposed to land grab, we are doing talent grab, right? So another thing that we could also look at is to be holistic in your thought process. So if you are going to change things up, you should look at it in a very holistic manner from start to finish, in terms of not just the recruitment process, but also the talent management workflows, right, from start to end. So this is the best chance to invest in operational efficiency. And as Cho Hao has earlier mentioned, we are in a very, very fortunate space in Singapore, whereby there is a lot of support, both in terms of grants and also in terms of from the SME centers, a lot of consultative help that can, help guide the companies along in terms of their digitalization journey. So this is a good chance to grab, right? So when HR teams make the decision to digitalize, so first of all, we need to make sure that there is a ongoing momentum or impetus to go forward in terms of embracing technology that can help you. But in Singapore, we have a double-edged sword, right? So we are very fortunate to have a lot of support. And at the same time, one of the first hurdles that comes up when somebody wants to start digitalizing is that there is a mind-boggling array of HR technologies that are available in Singapore, right? So this really may befuddle the HR professional, like, how do I get started? There are so many options out there. I don't really know how I should go about selecting them. I think we would love to talk about one of the hottest trends and also as an evaluation strategy on how you should pick and choose the right technology for your organization. Of course, we often like to, before we actually talk about the trend, we all often want to, bring back the teams to talk about the fact that strategy often beats sweat. We know that HR professionals are well known because we work a lot with them, that they are very hardworking people. So it is not a matter about working hard. Rather, at this point in time, it's about working smart. So you need to have a strategy when you are embarking on a digitalization strategy, and it's a well-informed one before you actually go up to the management to ask for budget, no matter how small or big it is, right? So it's part and parcel of change management. Yeah. So this is the part that we would love to share today with the audience. That one of the hottest trend in HR tech today, it's actually RPA. So RPA stands for Robotic Process Automation. It's actually I would say an umbrella of technology that can enable anyone today to automate some of the actions that would simulate as though it was a human, right? And you can execute a business process or transact very seamlessly using RPA. So of course, on an abstract level, this is the actual definition, but we would love to, bring it down to an actual use case that you can very much relate to, especially for the audience here today that are HR professionals. So what happens is that before RPA, we see that it's very common for HR teams to engage in all sorts of activities, right, in the recruitment process. And unfortunately, a huge part of it is what we consider operational work and manual non-value adding tasks, right? These are the ones that you should look towards removing because they are an obstruction for you to really have a very big contribution or meaningful contribution to your organization, because all this operational work or non-value adding tasks can actually be automated. So if you were to take on RPA, what we are looking to do, or at least, in terms of strategy, what you're looking to do is to minimize the amount of repetitive admin tasks that are better to be handled by a system. So, the people and the technology work very well together such that we are able to drive the end outcome such that you are able to deliver 100% true value add. Because these the processes of a recruitment workflow from the start when you're doing sourcing all the way to the end when you're managing a talent and onboarding process, there are some parts that are definitely very valuable as a HR specialist. And this is the part that where we talk about how to make your job, redundancy proof. And it's really about seeing the true value of the work, of your work scope, and making sure that you are able to deliver as much of your work in that area as possible and automating the rest. Yeah, so that's really what we hope to achieve for a lot of our clients, and we have successfully done so for a lot of our clients as well. So this actually brings to mind, harken back to Cho Hao's presentation. So Cho Hao talked a lot about the app marketplace and how RecruiterPal is also one of the partners in the marketplace. We fully support the idea of having systems to work together, not just with the users, but also between system and system. We're able to achieve a very seamless data transfer. Not just seamless, but also secure. So in this very, very short demo, we will actually bring you through the process of how, the information from RecruiterPal can transfer very seamlessly into Just Login. To really explain how we work together. So RecruiterPal actually handles what happens when the person is actually a candidate or an external party. So here we have Maureen, who has been very, very fortunate. So she has passed through very rigorous rounds of interviews, and now she's at the final stage where she has been offered by the company or the organization. So you can actually trigger a digital offer either via e-signing solutions that we work with, or you can do a simple upload of the document, and the person can then download, sign, and then scan it back up to the system again. So the process is now brought to the digital front, and Maureen has actually accepted the offer digitally as well through RecruiterPal. So what happens is that all is good, and we are now ready to start the onboarding process. So typically, without an integration, the systems between the recruitment and the HRMS of your choice would actually be in separate silos. And the unfortunate consequence of that is that the HR team end up having to do data entry, and that's a very big pity and a big waste of your time, because we already have the data about the candidate. that we can easily send up. So that's the brilliant part about the API integration that we've worked with Just Login. So all you need to do is to click on a button, start onboarding, and the system actually pulls out, most of the existing fields that is required for your synchronization into Just Login HRMS. So this is done, seamlessly, and we pull out all the information that has already been gathered from the recruitment process. So things that you probably wouldn't want to enter again, and humans doing data entry is often liable to errors as well when you do manual input. So this process is best handled by system to system. So once you do that, you just have to click submit, and what happens is that the syncing process takes place, and the next moment that when you log into your Just Login system, you will find that Maureen has been onboarded as a new employee very successfully. So that's really what we wanted to share. It's a very exciting integration that we have done with Just Login, and this is also something that we'll be very happy to invite the users of Just Login. If you have not experienced having a system to manage your recruitment process, you can actually sign up for a free 14 days trial. And we can also help you sync up with your Just Login system as well. So that's all we wanted to share. And over and back to Ivan.
Okay, thank you, Christine. So I guess that's that. No more questions really, and then really come to the end of the time. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending the session here, as well as the wonderful panel of experts who have shared so much with us today. I certainly feel more prepared as the new year comes. Thank you everybody for attending, and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.